Hey friends, Doc David here. It is day 5,210 of the quarantine. Hope you're surviving well. Hope you're wearing masks. Hopefully they haven't worn out after this long of quarantine. But no, honestly, I hope you're doing well. So I wanted to talk about teenagers for a minute. So I currently have uh, two teenagers living in my home and two dependent adults that are 20 and 22. And the coronavirus has caused schools to be shut down, colleges to be shut down. And so I am currently living at home with all my kids, which I love. Um, Yet at the same time, there's things that come up when there's dependent adults living with you and there's teenagers living with you. And so I wanted to talk specifically about teenagers. Most of the work that I do, or not most, but a lot of the work that I do is with teenagers, and it's with helping parents kind of figure out how to communicate better with their teenagers. A lot of times you will hear people say, specifically parents, my kid's crazy, teenagers are the worst, blah, 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 blah. I actually love working with teenagers. I think teenagers are fun to work with. They're more willing, generally with me, maybe not with their parents, they're more willing to talk about things and consider things than some adults are even willing to talk about or consider. So I generally enjoy working with teenagers. So one of the things I wanted to talk about today, specifically in regards to teenagers, is one of the things that they do that parents often tell me is my kid manipulates me. It's this big thing where you're trying to talk to them about something and they don't want to do it, and then they do something where you as the parent feel manipulated. So I wanted to give you a different perspective on this, because I think on one level you can look at it and think, yeah, that's just manipulation, or you can choose to look at it in a different way. You have to look past the rolling of the eyes. You have to look past the sighing. You have to look past the glares. And those are all things that I have experienced this week with my teenagers. And it's not fun, but it's something that is kind of the standard for most teens. They're trying to figure their own lives out, and then they interact with a parent who's either a helicopter parent, a micromanager, or not available at all emotionally. And so that hurts teens, but they don't know how to talk about it. Let's talk about manipulation. One of the things that I instantly think of when a parent tells me that their teenager is trying to manipulate them is that actually your teenager is trying to negotiate with you. Now here's the problem. It's horrible negotiation. Your teenager does not have negotiation skills. They're just figuring out how to deal with their emotions, right? They just became enemies with the person that they said was their best friend 2 days ago. There's just all this range of up and down with teenagers. And so when they try to get something from you, or when they're wanting something and they're going to you to try to get that thing, they don't know how to do it. And so what I view manipulation as is unsophisticated attempts to negotiate. Now, sit with that for a minute. Manipulation from your teenager is actually unsophisticated attempts to negotiate with you. Now, if you can sit with that and kind of think about a recent interaction you had where you felt like your teenager was manipulating you, and put on the frame or the lens of unsophisticated attempts to negotiate, hopefully that radically, for some it radically changes the way that they think about communication with their teens. Others aren't so sure about it. When you're not so sure about it, I think there's more going on for you personally in regards to your teenager. But that's a whole nother conversation. So what if you started viewing your teenager's former attempts at manipulation as unsophisticated attempts to negotiate with you? If you actually started viewing it that way, you could overlook eye rolls, you could overlook sighing, you could overlook the roller coaster of emotions about things, and just focus in on, okay, my teenager wants something from me. How can I help them negotiate for this thing? Now, there's some things that are not negotiable, like, hey, I want to go smoke weed up in my bedroom. That's not negotiable. But I want to stay up a little bit later tonight, could be negotiable. And instead of you as the parent saying, absolutely not, and then they scream and have a tantrum, and then you give in, and then guess what? They get to stay up, but there's hurt feelings. Instead of doing that, you could think, okay, they're trying to negotiate something with me. How can I help them do this and get them what they want? If you went down that path, you would have a radically different relationship with your teen. It's going to be hard potentially for you because you may feel like, well, I need to be in control of this. If that's the case, then again, like I said earlier, there's something going on inside of here that needs to be dealt with that has nothing to do with your teenager. Teenagers need to be able to be in control of some parts of their life. They need to be able to have a sense of control in some parts of their lives. And so you have the option to do that for them and help them figure out what they can be in charge of in their life. So this week, as you're in day quarantine 5,000 whatever, and your teenager comes up to you and you feel that you start to feel like, oh, they're trying to manipulate me. Remember what we talked about, that it's an attempt to negotiate with you, but it's not a skilled attempt. And if you take that opportunity, you can help them get skilled at negotiating, because they're going to leave your home someday and need to know how to negotiate. Hey, I'm Doc David. You can click my link in my bio. There's tons of links on there. You can find me everywhere. Search my name on Google and you'll find me on Facebook, Instagram, my website, blah, 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 blah. Hey, hope you're doing well. If you have any questions you want me to answer, feel free to reach out to me. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to comment below. Hey, have a great weekend.